Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Place to talk about anything and everything that is geek, will be TV, comics, movies, or video games. And I hope y'all had a very happy holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, Kwanzaa, whatever y'all celebrated, whatever y'all are celebrating or celebrating. I hope y'all had a safe and peaceful, happy holidays all the way around. And I know it's been a long while since I made a video. It's been a heck of a year, hasn't it? I mean, a lot has happened this year. Mostly not so great, but in terms of a lot of geekdom, a lot of stuff that ain't so great, and a lot of stuff that is really, really great. I mean, like I said, it's been a really wild ride and sort of depressing ride through 2020. But like I said, there's a lot of good stuff that happened this year too. And I'm just going to take my time to go over the best and some of the worst in 2020. Like I said, a lot of stuff's happened this year. And I'm gonna try to take the time to go through everything item by item, and like I said, mainly as I said, item by item, TV, comics, movies, and video games. And like I said, mostly in the comics realm, because there's a lot of stuff happening over there, a lot of stuff. So I'm going, like I said, sit back, relax. Like I said, this is my 2020 review, as I didn't really do a 2019 review, so I'm gonna try my best to make this one a good review for this year. And I'm just going to start all the way back before all this stuff started. All the way back in February, when they were just beginning to, all the way back when they were just still talking about DC 5G, and that is when they were talking, there was talks that DC might get I said everything. There was a lot of stuff been going on with DC Comics this year, particularly. And I said I'll go all the way back when there was rumors that if 5G was there was a lot of uncertainty about DC 5G. They were really nervous about this new idea and everything. And there was, like I said, there was rumors that if 5G was a bust, they were going to shut them down. They were going to AT&T might shut them down. And it wasn't too long after that longtime co-publisher, writer, Dan Didio, the one who created the Abomination on his New 52, or co-creator of the New 52, was fired. Out of nowhere was fired. I mean, he went into work one day and it's like there wasn't no inkling that he might get fired, and he just got fired. I was just like, whoa, that is just, I was like, that's just out of nowhere. So, and then all of a sudden I started hearing news. You start hearing all this news of like they started reshuffling reshuffling of the of 5G and what in the world they're going to do. He was the one heading it up and everything. And make think, what in the world are they going to do with this now? Because he ain't doing 5Gs anymore. Well, that'll come into play later. But all this stuff started happening with like I said, then all of a sudden, it hit the fan. Everything hit the fan, and all this mess started spreading all over the world. And then all of a sudden, DC shut down production for a while. Marvel shut down production for a while. Diamond Distributors shut down distribution for a long time, and or for at least for a little while. And while Marvel was just sitting over there, just sitting around twiddling its thumbs, basically, DC actually split off from, they know they had to get their stuff out there, so they split off from Diamond Distributors and started their own distributing. They went over there and joined up with one company on one side of the, They made one company for like, I guess it's like East Coast distribution, and created another one for West Coast distribution, while they still actually use Diamond for like overseas distribution, like UK and stuff. But Of course, like later on this year, they quit with one of the distributors, but they're still going with the other one. Their comics now, and because of this, their comics now actually come out a day before everybody else's. Which a lot of folks, a lot of comic shops are like, they were griping and everything. I just like, why are you griping? At least you got, I'm just saying, like, why are you griping so much? At least you get your DC books. At least you get your DC books a day early, you know? And it's just like, I just don't understand. I really still have yet to understand that. And, like I said, DC stuff comes out a day before, the day before the competitions. But, still, comics started back up, and they're going strong even now. But like I said, DC, boy, did they have a heck of a year. They are a rough year this year. I said they have massive layoffs. Even Bob Harris, somebody I've vocally been against on this show about, he got fired. A lot of folks that have been like years and years veterans of DC Comics, they got fired. I mean, this is the year you almost saw DC Comics get gutted. I mean, they got rid of DC Universe. They turned DC Universe into a comics app, where it used to be like they're streaming. They turned the DC Comics streaming service into a comics reading app only, and put all their DC Universe stuff over on HBO Max. Like I said, they fired a lot of seasoned vets and put, like, well, I heard somebody said about basically putting the interns in charge. Like I said, they've got rid of DC Direct, where you get a lot of like the more expensive, but a lot more expensive figures at. They got rid after they've been around for like almost 25 years. They got rid of those. They got rid of that division of DC. They got rid of They've gotten rid of, like I said, they got rid of DC Direct. They got rid of I said there's like they're just, it's just in this. It almost sounded like they were almost going to get rid of like the young adult stuff. That not really, but they're still going with the young adult novels. But as like I said, everything's going almost like any minute you were expecting them to announce that AT&T was either selling DC or they're shutting them down for good. Because like I said, when you hear all those rumors, like they're almost going to like use the merch and license out the characters and all this stuff, but not publish comics anymore. They're going to like still make DC Comics related content, but not the comics, which to me it just sounds sad anyway. But I said, we don't know what in the world is going to happen. Everything's so uncertain because I said, and every single day they keep firing people. And there's a rumor going around that even next year they might, at the start of the new year, they're going to fire more folks. And it's just like, it just makes me feel bad for them. It really does. Because like I said, any minute you almost expect to hear them say AT&T sold DC Comics. And I said, that just stinks to me. But to throw away like almost like 80, 85 years of history, you know? I mean, it just stinks. But yeah, I was like, you don't know what's going to happen for them. You really don't. But there's also a lot of good stuff that happened this year. I mean, they finally did the whole Three Jokers angle that was dangling since it's been dangling since Rebirth started. I know it's more relegated to the DC Black Label imprint, but the way things are going, it's going to count for continuity too, because, well, I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, they finally did that whole mystery, and that was an excellent story. I will say that is probably so far in the last several years probably the best Batman story that to me has been done since the whole Bane breaking the Batman story. To me that is probably the best story they have done in a long time. And then you got I said you got all these other. You got Bendis finally been not doing Superman anymore. They finally leaving Superman alone after he's about butchered it. And he finally after 2 years of butchering Superman and dragging it through the mud, he's finally leaving it alone. And they're, like I said, and then they're actually giving him a Justice League book, and I was like, oh, so just make it stop. But yeah, they've and they finally announced, they've still got DC Death Metal, they still got Dark Knight's Death Metal going on right now, and it's just about to wrap up next month. And I'm gonna say it's a good story, but I'll be glad when they finally get rid of the Batman Who Laughs, because I'm so tired of that character. I've had it with that character, and so I have so had it with that character, and I said it'll be good. It'll be great when they finally off that character, and they just go back to having stuff just be like your regular comic book story again, without seeing Batman Who Laughs suddenly dart in the door again, you know. Because ever since they introduced him in Dark Knight's Metal, they have done nothing but just they have overdone him as much as they were overdoing Batman and Joker. I mean that. It's like you think they overdone Batman, overdone Joker? They combined the two together, and they really got too much mileage out of him. Really got too much. But I mean, this is probably one of the wildest story I've ever read. I mean, it's just like any version of Batman you could possibly want, they throwed it in this book. I mean, it's been interesting yet wild, and yet I just wish they'd be done with it, you know. But out of this, they finally announced spinning out of this is going to be what was going to be 5G is now going to be what they're calling DC Future State. And that is, like I said, everything they were thinking about doing with John Kent being Superman, and they said it was going to be Luke Fox, but I guess it's going to end up being Tim Fox being Batman, and all this, and this, like I said, this new I said they're going to have a new Brazilian Wonder Woman they're introducing. It's going to be from the Amazon rainforest. Somewhere along the line they've introduced another tribe of Amazons in the Amazon rainforest original. And they're introducing her as a new Wonder Woman in the future, and come to find out I'll get into this more in a minute. She's actually going to get not only her own Wonder Girl series, which takes place in the modern day. It's going to be she's getting her at the same time she's getting her very own TV series. And like I said, I'll get more of that in a minute. As I said, you got all of these ones that were introducing. They're like Bendis's run on everything and all this. They're going to end up as members of the. They're going to end up like what was going to be 5G is going to end up being called Future State, where they just jump forward years into a possible DC future, where they're all like it, where they are the Justice League and all this stuff. But also at the same time, they're introducing a new concept called DC Infinite. And it's like because of everything that has been basically one of the things they unlock. I'll just spoiler alert. One of the things they're going to be unlocking as part of Death Metal is that everything counts, everything matters, everything is continuity, everything happened. Basically, they kind of introduced that concept in Doomsday Clock, and that also ended this year. Very good series, particularly issue 12. Basically, against another spoiler alert, they introduced the concept of like it all is its own Earth in the multiverse, and basically they're introducing the concept of the omniverse, and that everything has happened and everything matters. And they're going and basically like I said, everything matters and everything happens and everything. And now they're going to basically they're having like multiple versions of the same character in the continuity at the same time. And it's like they're supposed to have like a 0-issue one shot of they're calling it Infinite Horizons. They're basically got on the cover alone they've got 3 different versions of Superman, 3 different versions of Wonder Woman, and 4 different Green Lanterns, and they're even going to have Alan Scott play a more prominent role in comic and in DC again. Thank goodness, because we'd love to see him again. Then it's the Golden Age version, not the Earth 2 version. And it's just like, all these different versions of characters, and they're supposed to have like new flashes and stuff like that. I mean, it just sounds great. And I said, I was a little bit, I was a little bit leery hearing about Future State and everything. But when I started it, because you know, there's some YouTubers on there with like a comic YouTuber on there with like a political slant, and they're just like, oh, it's going to be this, that, and the other. Oh, they're just trying to bring this, and I actually took the time to read about it. I mean, they're about influencing my point of view on it, but I went to reading it, and I was just like, you know what? This actually does sound interesting. And I'm also at the point is like, it's just like I said, it's in the future, and all this stuff. I just like, I started reading about it. I was just like, I was like, this sounds interesting. I'm like, I don't see what in the world they're on about, you know. And I just thought, I said, this sounds actually interesting, and I wouldn't mind reading this. So, like I said, more power to them with Future State, and like I said, it's for Infinite Horizons and DC Infinite and everything. That sounds very interesting. That's sounding very, very interesting. I mean, you got, I said they had the whole Joker War thing that happened with Batman. Now you're going to have Batman basically almost sound like Batman on a budget, because Catwoman basically gave Luke Fox, Lucius's son, his other son, the one everybody thought was going to be Batman, they basically give him all of Bruce's money, and basically Bruce is going to have to be Batman on a budget because they won't fund him no more, because everybody knows they've been basically Joker is smeared Wayne. Basically, he knows Bruce Wayne's Batman. He smeared Wayne Enterprises and all this stuff in the eyes of the people. And like I said, they just basically now he's going to be Batman on a budget. Sounds like, but like I said, it's going to be very interesting. Everything going into next year in terms of DC, because it sounds, like I said, it all sounds very, very interesting in terms of the comics. I just hope they're actually able to stay around long enough to see everything through to fruition, because again, there's always that dark cloud looming overhead that any minute AT&T's going to hammer down and shut them down, you know. And like I said, but that's a lot of what DC's had to go through this year in terms of comics. In terms of TV, and another comic thing, you got like Power Ranger comics happening this year. They introduced a new Green Ranger, which sounds absolutely exciting and awesome. I can't wait to see who it is. But I said, in terms of Marvel, I don't know much of what's happened with them this year, other than their art is terrible. It's terrible, 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 and that's all I got to say about that. But in terms of like TV that's happened this year, a lot in terms of like TV and stuff that happened this year, and in terms of like TV happening this year, they've announced that this coming season of Supergirl is going to be its last. And also the start of the new Superman and Lois series, it starts in, because of everything that's happened, it's supposed to start in February. And I just say I'm excited about this show. Ever since what happened with Crisis and everything, I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it yet. What they introduced in that is, to me, sounds very, very interesting. I can't wait to see the show. But they're also, but in terms of, there's two things that I don't really agree with, and that is they've not only announced a new, along with the new Wonder Girl comic, they're introducing a TV show to go along with it. And I'm just going to say, how in the world can you base a show around a character that hasn't even made their comic debut yet as Wonder Woman? How in the world can you do that? I mean, you don't even know if this is even going to jive with fans or not. I mean, you just don't know. You really don't. And also, one that I really think is a bad idea, the fact that they have taken that the Naomi character that Bendis created in Superman, and that he bogarted a whole issue of Superman just to introduce, or Action Comics rather, to introduce, they're giving her her own TV show. And I'm just like, this sounds like it's not going to fly. It really don't. I mean, I've heard a lot of griping from like Superman, not from like the usual one. I'm talking from like folks that are reviewing the Superman comics, and all they do is Superman. The fact that they took a whole issue of Superman, devoted it to her, to give her her own show, and not to mention, I also heard in terms of comics news, they're putting her in the Justice League. I was like, we don't, unless I'm missing something here, I don't even think they really introduced who she was. I don't even know if they even had an origin issue for it. It's just like, throw her in here, throw her in there. I said, that's definitely a sign that Bendis is taking over Justice League, and that he is putting Naomi right in the middle of the action. It's like, we don't even know who this girl is yet. She could be some apocalyptic spy for all we know. I mean, I just don't, I said, it don't jive with me. And I said, a lot don't jive with a lot of folks. But in terms of like DC stuff and TV, like I said, it's still, there's supposed to be another Titan series. It's supposed to be a season 3. They debuted Starfire's new look on the show. She finally getting herself a super suit, and I'm gonna just say it, she looks like she does in the comics. I said she finally looks like she does in the comics, and I actually like it. I've seen it, and it actually looks good. But I said there's a lot in terms of like Marvel news, and they still got like they're still announcing shows left and right. They're trying to get Daredevil started back up again, but I'd heard rumors of like as a comedy character in the MCU. I don't really like that. Like they got the WandaVision show starting and everything, and I said it just looks all kooky and everything. But in terms of movies, there's you got I will just start off with a little Marvel and say that they're trying to, I think with this new every day they're announcing new characters in the Spider-Man movie. I've even heard so far as somebody parody and say, says about Batman showing up in the new movie. But like I said, they're trying to throw everybody in there, trying to throw everything from Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, villains, and all that in there. I said they keep trying. I said they've moved a lot of stuff over to like I said, that's another thing that's happened this year in terms of movie news. They announced that that Warner's is not only releasing their stuff in the theaters, they're releasing on HBO Max the same day. And I can understand that. I mean, there's a lot of folks like, oh, this is the death of the theater and everything. I was like, well, during a time like this, wouldn't you try to find alternate ways of putting them stuff out there? I mean, look what they did with DC. They try to find alternate routes and alternate ways of getting their comics out there. And I'm glad they did that. I really am. I said, I'm glad they're doing this. I said, the Wonder Woman movie, in terms of DC movies, Wonder Woman just came out Christmas Day. I ain't been hearing that flattering reviews about it. But it seems to be a pretty good movie. I'll probably get it when it comes on DVD. But they finally, this year at DC Fandom, since they couldn't really do a live Comic-Con, in-person Comic-Con this year, they did one online. DC did their own thing and actually put on and did something called DC Fandom, where they announced a lot of stuff in terms of like different movies and comic projects and everything. But mainly a lot of stuff that's going on was the movies, and that they're going to have and in terms of like they're finally going to put out the Snyder Cut of Justice League on HBO Max, and I cannot wait for that. I kind of wish I had HBO Max so I could watch it, but hopefully they will put it on DVD and Blu-ray also. I really hope they're going to do that for the folks who don't have HBO Max. You know, I hope they put it on DVD and Blu-ray, because you know me, I'm gonna grab it up. They announced the new Flash movie, what it's going to be like. They're going to have Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck coming back as Batman. That sounds just all grades are awesome. And also another thing, they showed the trailer for the new new movie, The Batman, with Robert Pattinson in it. And let me just say, from what I see in the trailer, he is an excellent Batman. From what I've seen in the trailer, this is going to be actually really, really good. And I hope, like I said, I hope it's as good as the trailer, even better than the trailer. But all this is going on, I don't know. Like I said, who knows when? I think there's a lot of stuff been pushed back and everything. That got pushed back to 2022. But like I said, it sounds like it's going to be really good. And in terms of like non-DC related news, in terms of movies, Godzilla vs. Kong is supposed to come out in like May of this year, and I just can't. I'm just going to wait to the DVD. I hope it's really good because it looks like it's going to be absolutely excellent. And I cannot wait to see it. I've been wanting to see this since King of the Monsters. I cannot wait. I really cannot wait. And in terms of video games, you had at least 2 busts this year. And that is the Avengers game that everybody was touting is supposed to look really, really good, and wound up being a steaming pile, along with that game Cyberpunk 2077, I think it was. I might as well call it 2020. Because from what I heard, they touted that game, oh, it looks so good, and other folks like, oh, it didn't match their political narrative and everything. You end up getting the game out, and I've been hearing nothing but negative reviews saying this is so glitchy, it's crap, all this stuff. And also there was another game that came out, Last of Us Part 2. That game got raked over the coals so much, I'm surprised it didn't burst into flames. But I've heard so much about that and all this. It's just, like I said, I don't really follow video games that closely as I do everything else, but I will, anything in particular interest, I will definitely keep an eye on it. So, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. A really, really wild ride this year. And hopefully coming up in 2021, everything gets a little bit better, and hopefully good things are to come next year. For everybody out there, for everything in geekdom, like I said, I hope there are better things to come. You gotta have hope for better tomorrow. Always. And I guess that's all for this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. What are your highlights this year? What did you think was totally awesome? What did you think was total crap? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. I'll see y'all in the next year.